Well, hello, buddy, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel if this is your first time watching. For any returning subscribers, hi. Yes, I will explain this in a second. But for any new viewers, any new subscribers, my name is Arrovwerse. I'm an entertainment journalist for ScreenRant.com, and I'm also the editor in chief of Multiversal Color.com, and also the host of the Showrunner Whisperer, which is an MOC original. And I'm also a YouTube content creator, apparently. So, uh, but yeah, for anyone who's returning to the channel, Happy New Year. Hope you had a wonderful holiday season. And I am thrilled to be back with my first video, which again, I will explain why it's taking a little long. This video was supposed to go out in December, but due to a very hectic schedule, but also some massive technical difficulties on my end editing this video, which led me to have to redo the whole editing process. That's why it's out a little bit late. But also, I feel like it's kind of fitting of having this be like the first video of the new year for 2025, and it's a cool way of kind of looking both what has happened previously and what's to come, as this is all about saying farewell to the CW's DCTV era from Smallville leading all the way into Superman Lois final season, as I was joined by Craig Byrne and Derek Russell, two buddies but also idols of mine, especially for me who grew up with Smallville, and grew up with KryptonSite and Shoe Podcast, aka Starkville as well. And we had a huge discussion about just the end of this long era that we've all grown up with, and it was so much fun getting to talk to them. So again, and I wanted to make sure that when I released it, it would just be absolutely perfect, and that's why it's taking a bit long. So again, but to Craig and Derek, if you're watching this, massive apologies for how long it's taken to get this out, but I hope the wait will be worth it. And I'm excited for all of you guys, especially if you guys have also followed KryptonSite and Shoe throughout the years. Then this will be a very fun crossover as we talk about, again, these 2 decades worth of these TV, but also like really diving into the end of Superman Lois, which if you have seen it by now, there's going to be spoilers and discussions, so don't worry. And lastly, to explain this hat, I got this at the Comic Con where I met Tom Welling, and listen, people know me that I'm more of a Digimon fan than Pokemon. I don't hate Pokemon. I can tolerate Pokemon. This was just so damn cute that I just couldn't resist, and also because I've shaved my head, so it actually fits me now. So why not? But with further ado, let's get to the video. Enjoy, and I will see you at the end. For anyone who checked out my last couple of videos with Superman Lois and Creature Commanders, thank you so much. If you're a Superman Lois fan and you're still reeling from that finale, trust me, I am too. It came up in therapy today, and it was not easy. And I wish I could kid you, but I spent my entire paid hour to talk about a TV show because I was waiting for the embargo to lift, and I was crying, and my therapist was like, "So I watched Superman Lois, but I am 2 episodes behind." So not only did I grieve about my own feelings, I spoiled the whole finale to my therapist, who remained professional throughout the whole thing. Thank God. But luckily, you're not gonna be just stuck listening to my voice. I have some very special guests with me for this video, and I'm so honored. One is someone if you follow me on the Flash podcast and other things that I do, you know him very, very well. If you're someone who loves Smallville, if you follow the entire Arrowverse, and then you know who he is. He is KryptonSite. He is KSite TV. He is Green Arrow TV. He's Flash TV News. He is Gotham Site. He is. There's so many names, but he is one of my good friends and one of the greatest journalists that I know, Mr. Craig Byrne. So, Craig, hello. Hi. How
Hello.
are you?
Is your therapist gonna thank you because now they don't have to watch the last 20 minutes of that finale?
She was like, she didn't imply if she's gonna water it up, but she was kind of like, "So I'm 2 episodes behind." But she wasn't thrilled. She wasn't like she was kind of like, "I'm glad that you're getting to grieve." I'm like, "Well, I am paying you, so." But we're we're gonna uh, perfect this trifecta, and I am so this like I cannot believe this is the same year that not only did I get to meet, you know, the most important figure in my life, which is Tom Welling, I get to the chance to finally share the air with one of the most important people in my professional life, who's inspired a lot of things they're doing, who has also been a huge part of Smallville and this whole Superman era that we've been living in for the last 20 plus years. He's an phenomenal journalist as well, and he's the reason I even knew what a podcast was. Like back in 2007 or 8, when I first saw this podcast, I'm like, what the hell is a podcast? You can you can actually talk to people just online and just publish it? I didn't know you could do that. But it is my honor to welcome the one and only Derek Russell. Hi, welcome from Starkville's House of L and Superman Lois TV and all the wonderful shows that you've done over the last, what is it, almost 20 years now?
I've been catfishing you. I'm actually your therapist, and
Oh,
you broke your NDA, so we're
yeah.
gonna have to have a conversation about that. Hi, how's it going, everybody?
It's going well. I mean, this is huge for me because like I grew up with you guys, like reading your
That doesn't make us
articles.
feel old at all.
I'm
Thank you.
old now too. Don't worry. I get that with kids that are younger than me being like, oh my god, like when I was talking to Alex Garvin, he was like, oh my god, I read Screener as a teenager. And I'm like, I feel so old. So I am honored and I'm thrilled to have you both here, especially as we're talking about such an amazing era now coming to an end with very interesting results. But no, but like for people who may not know you, if my intro wasn't enough for them, like if you want to share a little bit about yourselves and what you guys do, and your passion for Superman, the character that is connecting all three of us, so you want to flip a coin who goes first, or who.
Derek goes first.
Okay.
No, I think you did a wonderful intro. Hi, I'm Derek. I'm a reporter, and I've hosted Superman-related audio programs on the internet for the last 2 decades. So I like
And
long walks on the beach and reading the scriptures by fire. There you go.
well, your favorite scripture was Smallville, the season 7 companion, where Al
That's it.
Goff said, "Hear ye, Chloe is not Lois Lane."
The sacred
Right?
text. The sacred text.
The second
Your
And
turn,
Craig,
Craig.
yeah, Craig. And
Oh.
Craig, who are you, Craig? Are you confirm? Are you related to John Byrne or not?
I am not related to John Byrne. I'm not related to David Byrne or Gabriel Byrne or any other cool Byrne except for my mom, who's amazing.
Who is cool. She's very cool.
Yeah. And then I noticed you have an awesome shelf behind you, Andy. But where are the Smallville books?
The small books, no, because I wanted to make sure that they don't get dusty, so they're actually in a special shelf.
They're in
where, like-
storage.
Yeah, they're in
No,
storage.
No,
They're in the attic.
No, they're in this shelf in the here, like in my dining room, like it's in where I have my special collections.
They're in your circular bin, right?
No, Craig, I love those books so much. I brought them to San Diego Comic Con 2012 just to get you to sign them.
I'm just
And he was
teasing.
so nice about it. He like we sat down on the floor and he started like signing the books and then started to like draw. Like I think you drew Lex in one book.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, you
Oh,
drew
wait,
some
there's drawings? I think we
Yeah.
need to see those at some point. Like,
Yeah,
I think
we need to see those,
that's
Andy.
I can
incredible.
arrange that.
Yeah.
You
But
should
no,
arrange that, Andy.
but those books are amazing, and of course, Shoes, Star Wars House of Bell. I mean, again, I think podcasting, because I know so many podcasters who like, especially in the superhero genre, who like, well, I started this because I listened to Shoe, I listened to Steve and Derek, and I listened to Star Wars House of Bell, throughout my teenage years, and then I got into, you know, my journalism world, and again, I wanted to do a podcast, and I'm like, well, Shu is like the pro. Like, if I have anything to learn from it, it's from them. So, you guys, I mean, I was in the live chat for episode 174 and crying with you guys and watching you guys. That cake looked so good, but
Oh,
not a
yeah,
single
Steve's birthday
picture.
cake. Yeah.
Not a single picture. And I'm like,
Of the cake? I have pictures of the cake.
no, but you and
somewhere.
Steve started freaking out because like we didn't take a picture of this. Do we start putting it back together? And like, but
I think we
Uh,
went to show it on like video or something that night. I think we meant to, and we didn't do that. But there's a picture of it somewhere. I'll dig it up. You dig
Yeah,
up your Craig Byrne drawing, and I'll dig up
yeah,
my
I will do that. I will do
Steve
that.
birthday cake from 13 years ago.
Well, also for the Tyler Hecklin fans who are listening, Derek and his friend Steve Glosson are the original Steric, except no substitutes.
It's true. It is true. In fact, somebody just the other day was like, "Hey, could we have the Steric account?" And we had to say no. It was like they're still asking for it, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Had that since like 2008.
Yeah, I mean, it's so
and Twitter could, probably burn now.
Oh, it will.
Probably is burning right now. Like it was down for me earlier today. I couldn't even log in. So like I don't know if I missed something. You know whose fault that is.
We won't get political on here.
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
John Schneider's not on today. Too soon.
No, it's listen.
So Craig's got a Birds of Prey poster behind him. That's cool.
I do. That is,
or it's the Underworld poster. I can't decide.
No, that's Birds of Prey because I can see the logo with like the font of Birds of Prey.
It's sad that I could spot that from here. Like, although I knew that was up in your house anyway.
Jessica Fletcher on a picture that I showed you before we recorded.
I didn't have my glasses. Okay, I'm all in now. Glasses are on, microphone's on, camera's on. There's Angela Lansbury. Pour one out for Angela Lansbury.
R.I.P. You're deader than Clark and Lois.
So Andy, why have you gathered us all here?
Why have I gathered us today?
Is this an intervention?
This is a definite intervention, absolutely, because I feel like we have a lot of emotions we have to go through, and because we have the Superman Lois. For people who are watching this now, like it's been 4 days now since the series finale. For us, it's been like 2 weeks since the show ended, because we all saw it early, and we of course had to be quiet about it because we're not like some people out there who like to spoil things. You know who you are, and
leave Bitsy out of this.
I did not say Bitsy. No, did she spoil something?
Well, she very heavily implied that somebody from Grimm was showing up.
Oh,
I think she had to do a little bit of damage control after what. And listen, if anybody was throwing gasoline on that fire, sir.
Oh, you talking about me?
Yeah, you.
Me and my clickbait article about who's going to show up.
On.
Derek, let me tell you, because I didn't realize that this had happened, because I was on a different live stream on Monday, and people were asking, like, because I was the one who had seen the finale, so they were like, "Is Tom Welling in it?" I'm like, what rumor have I missed now? Like why would Tom Welling be in it?
Why would Tom Welling be in it?
Like, why would Batman? They were like saying
I think that was my favorite one. Yeah.
Like people saying
Welling was my favorite one.
And people were asking, like, is Melissa in it? And I'm like, guys, where it is coming from? I don't know what is going, but they're not in it. And I go to Craig's website. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Tim that runs our social media, he was like, can we just post the clip from July and hopefully that will like subdue people? And I was like, I'm not getting into it. We didn't comment on a cameo. We did not. I just said, let's just stay out of that one altogether.
Yeah,
No, but
it was just easy.
The reason I put Tom into that article was because somebody had tweeted me. I think it was like Clonafan77 or something like that. And they're like, is Tom Welling in the finale? And I think eventually I did respond and I said, if Tom Welling was in the finale, I'd be dropping much bigger hints. Because I can't resist.
He has dropped the bigger hints when it comes to other big things, like in the
like when Melissa Benoist was being cast, and I posted the Glee holding out for Hero video like a month before she was announced.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, those were the days. Those were the days. And then like I remember
years ago.
Oh,
back when Derek had hair.
And I did have hair at one point. More hair and less children. I think those are connected.
Well, in that case, I mean, I don't have children. There's a reason my hair is like all puffed up.
And you have hair, so
no, but I puffed it up because, like, there are some, there's some spots that I'm blaming my father for, because he was like, "Oh yeah, I started balding when I was like 25." I'm like, "Oh great, Dad. Was there something I could inherit that is like in my favor?" He's like,
"I think you get that from your mom's side."
Yeah,
my mom.
So, yeah,
like her parent.
It's your maternal grandfather.
Oh,
so you're
never knew. Well, I never knew him, so
There you go.
I can't.
Maybe
I can't
he had a full head of hair.
He had a glorious mane. You should be fine for life.
He's like Lionel Luther.
God willingly. But something I know that because one of the things that connected, that I know you two have been connected over for the last 20 years is, of course, this little show called Smallville. And
Yes.
that's why we even had a DC era on the scene. I mean, the reason the Arrowverse even existed was because Smallville literally walked so the Arrowverse could fly when Tom didn't want to
Smallville
fly.
was the blueprint. Take that, Zack Snyder fans.
I mean, he's not wrong. I'm a Snyder fan, but sometimes you all like praise him and tell him that he's the blueprint for everything. I'm like, no, he's not. Like, and I even got into some fights today with Snyder fans online. So, oh yeah, happy DC Universe launch day, everyone.
What was
As
that?
one universe,
Oh yeah, that was today, wasn't it?
that was today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was today.
I'm still
No, but
bitter. HBO Max didn't send me any screeners, so I don't have to cover it.
come on, HBO.
Also, I don't have HBO Max, so I'm double.
Also, it's just Max now.
Yeah, it's not the best name.
It's a really
It's not
stupid name.
But I know, like this year for you guys,
You're not
because,
going to get screeners talking like that, sir. I'll tell you that.
Well, just wait till I trash them when they make their Harry Potter show. But no,
but no, but it's something that I know you guys got to do this year, because again, you guys really, you guys have covered Smallville professionally for all these years, and this year, like, it feels like it's all coming full circle, because you guys did this little thing in New York called Salute to Smallville, and I kind of wanted just to first ask you guys, like, what was that experience like of getting to connect with the show that has done so much for both of your lives, professionally and probably also personally in some regard.
I'm going to let Craig take that one.
I was gonna say you go first, but
No, all you.
for
buddy.
me, it was an incredible experience all around, and I think it would be for any fan of Smallville. And I'm not just saying that because I've been working for Creation the last couple of weeks, but I feel like there was so much love. Like everybody who was there wanted to be there, including the actors. The actors were seeing all this enthusiasm. I know I've told you before that. At one point I said something to Tom. I was like, "It's so good to see you so happy." He was like, "Yeah, this convention's great." And I met in general, but he just was on such a high from this convention. And he used to kind of like hide from fans, and then the end of the event this year, he went into the bar and just started hanging out for a couple minutes. Like, it was a great experience, and just lots of love everywhere. Like, I wish I could just bottle it up and do it again. And hosting with Derek was the best, because he is such a pro at this. He did it for that 90210 thing a couple years ago. He's done it in Mississippi. You've done it for several events, right, Derek?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I just get pushed out on stage, and it's more often than not someone cancels at the last minute. They're like, "We'll call Derek. He'll do it."
But I was kind of nervous at first, and I did step on some of my words. But by the end, I hope I knew what I was doing, and we got to the point where if Tom Welling says people can't fly, Lex, Derek and I just both chime in with, "I did."
That was a moment. That was a perfect moment.
Yeah, like we didn't even skip a beat. We just both were like, "I did." So it was really nice, and like Kristen and Laura and Erica and Glover and Aaron Ashmore and Michael and Tom. I think I got everybody there. They were all so great. And next year we're gonna have Elena Huffman.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
He's really
cool. I will give Craig his flowers because Andy, I know obviously you did that as well, but there would not be a Smallville podcast. There would not be Superman Lois podcast. So much of what we did in college instead of going to class was reading Craig's work, and that was really the launch pad for, all right, if we're sitting around wasting this much time on somebody else's website, we should probably contribute something as well. Whether we contributed something or not remains to be seen 2 decades later. But I owe Craig so much, because just being enamored with how much of a fan he was, and what an excellent job he did in his own right with journalism in the early days of online journalism. That led to us wanting to do what we did, and 20 years later we're standing on stage in Jersey with the cast introducing them. It was very surreal. I mean, we've obviously had dealings with them before, interviews, and seeing them at conventions and stuff like that, and obviously Craig even more so, writing the books and set visits and whatnot. But even still, like I I was the morning, but right before we went out to welcome everybody. And I wouldn't have been there without Craig. That was the other I meant to say, that the whole reason I was there in the first place was because Craig said I should be. So it's all thanks to Craig. It's not nobody should be thanking me because Craig did an amazing job.
Well, we should also thank Savina.
Yeah, we should thank everybody at Creation.
Our besties.
Who went outside the norm and let us run with things a little bit. But we were about to go on stage, or people were getting there, and we were getting ready, and Craig and I were just kind of in the hallway outside the green room, like, how are we gonna? What's the vibe gonna be for this? Because obviously we've known each other 2 decades, we play off each other pretty well. But Kristen came in the back door, headed to the green room. It's like she had all her bags on her. She was holding like a big book, and she saw Craig down the hall. Craig had his back to her, and I was watching her, and she beelined from the green room before she ever even walked in there, carrying all this stuff to go give Craig a hug because she was so excited to see Craig. So that right there tells you, I think, everything you need to know. That was any worries we had about going out on stage were kind of quelled at that point. I think that was a good note to start on that Saturday morning. And sounds like we're going to be involved again. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll
next year. Salute to Smallville. Which again, Craig, you've been a very busy bee, haven't you?
Yeah, I made that graphic.
You did.
Well, I didn't make the logo. That was from last year, but yeah.
Listen, I mean, the new website looks amazing, and I was so bummed that I couldn't make it out to New York this year, but I'm hoping to be able to make it to Chicago and see all you guys, because that event looked so much fun, and it's still amazing that a show that is it ended 13 years ago, but the fact that it has so much relevance today, and it had it kind of pushed a lot of dominoes to go forward to what we know in this genre, which is still amazing. Again, I think about people saying that a lot of people have started realizing that the CW era began with a Superman show, is ending with a Superman show. It's like, I mean, how perfect is that? And but yeah, from what I saw from Salute, I felt like such a naughty kid. I'm watching these bootleg panels and these photos that they're not supposed to take. I'm like, there's Derek and Craig, and they're kicking ass at it. That it's so. I'm glad that you guys are part of this, and I can't wait to see what you guys will bring more to Salute next year. And it's gonna be bigger and better and bolder.
Like, we talked to Tom a bit at the very end of the thing. It was probably the longest either of us had ever talked to Tom, and he was so great. And he was like, "Yeah, I would love to bring a lot more people next year." So
yeah, kept waving his handler away and talking. I mean, we sat out there for 20-30 minutes talking to him. It was like after the show was over, and
I didn't even notice him waving him away.
Yeah, she came over at least once.
He
was like, no, it was I can't remember her name, but
I did not notice.
Yeah, again, you had your back to her the way we were standing.
I had my back to everyone at this thing, apparently.
You did,
but
you did.
It was great to get to this is the most Derek and I have ever actually been able to hang out. We've done podcasts before. We've talked. We've had
lunch. Was this the first time you were in person together?
No, we've met.
Okay.
We met up
a dozen times. Yeah, well, no, I mean, first time we met was 06, 07?
07, yeah,
probably, but
Cheesecake Factory, right?
Usually, Cheesecake Factory. Usually it's, hey, I'm in town, or hey, we're in the same town, let's go grab a bite and catch up. It's never, we're going to hang out for 48 hours, which is what we get to do this time.
Yeah, and so that was great, but again, just the attitudes of everybody who was there, it was a celebration of Smallville.
Yeah.
And I don't think that could be replaced, but more so, I think it's kind of part of this renaissance Smallville has had the last couple of years, between there being Talkville, and we got the Blu-rays, and all kinds, and people were watching on Hulu. I went to a Talkville live event a couple months ago, and the girl in front of me in line had never seen Smallville until the COVID pandemic. Which is kind of crazy to think.
Seeing how many people standing up on that stage, seeing how many people in the audience were not alive when the show was on,
yeah,
is very humbling.
But also though, I feel like there were a lot of people at the convention who were either in their teens or 20s when Smallville was on, and now they have that money to take a trip and go to New Jersey or Chicago and celebrate this show. Like,
Tim sent me a tweet that came across the timeline the other day, and there seems to be a reemergence in the shipping wars. It seems to be the Claude and Lois people are going at it again, or I guess a new generation. I feel like it's the next generation of Claude and Lois people, but some of them are holdovers, evidently. And somebody that was like, I think they had like 22, and that they were 22 in their bio was like, why are all these middle-aged people arguing about Smallville on the internet? If I'm still on Twitter when I'm 40 talking about Smallville, please kill me. And I was like, oh, that hurt.
Well, that was one thing that was kind of interesting. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It was interesting about the, salute to Smallville. I remember at one point we were asking the audience their favorite ships. And if somebody, if people cheered for Lois, the Klana fans were not giving them nasty looks, nor were the Lois people, Lois people weren't mad at the Klana people. It was kind of funny that when you said Schlark, they were like crickets. And then I remember at one point I said Tess and Lois, and there were these probably lesbians in the front row just cheering. There was
just a couple of men. They were very excited about Tess and Lois. I yelled out, Dr. Hamilton and Tess, and that got one good cheer.
Well, if I'd been there, I would have been the second one because that episode is that little arc in the final scene is like the funniest thing I've seen. I'm like, we're dealing with Darks and all this, but also let's see what Tess and Emil are doing. Playing dress up in Elvis and stuff.
I would love to see Alessandro Giuliani and Cassidy Freeman at a Salute to Smallville, ideally hosting karaoke, but
I would
with them only having
absolutely.
2 nights, that might conflict with Michael and Tom's thing.
I hope Cassidy's available now. Obviously, she was still filming Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah,
but they've wrapped, and that was the final season. So maybe she'll be available.
My dream guest is Annette O'Toole, of course.
I know you need to make that happen.
Yeah. And Tom seemed to be the same way. He's like, I wish Annette was here because she's just mom to everybody.
Yep.
And if I realized earlier today, if they get Annette, they can probably also get Perry White.
I think that would be an easy get.
And they wouldn't have to spring for another hotel room.
He can discuss all 37 minutes he was on air. Ever.
In a row?
Not so. Yeah, thank you. I caught that at the last minute.
I'm trying to remember like how long he actually was on in that second episode he came on, because I haven't watched it in a hot second, so I would have to.
He was in that one a whole lot less than he was in Perry.
Yeah, I know when I interviewed Annette again for the 20-year anniversary, I completely forgot the whole Red Queen thing. And then I rewatched it after somebody sent the Blu-ray. I don't know who would have sent me the Blu-ray, but somebody did. The initials DR. And I'm watching it, and I popped in the episode where Annette and Michael come back. I was like, I don't remember this. So my Smallville knowledge is not always perfect.
Those first 5 seasons are pretty well.
Yeah,
I'm sure I've pushed out other things, but they're in there. And you get past season 7, and you're like, I don't remember episode titles or people or places or things.
Whereas if I said Derek name the episodes of season 1, you could probably do it right now without looking it up.
Let's not put me on the spot. Pilot metamorphosis.
Hothead.
X-ray. Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
And we're gonna stop there tonight. Thank you.
Yeah. See, for me, it's a little bit the other way around. Like, because the daily plan era, as I call them, from 8 to 10, was kind of where like my more subconscious mind, like, was able to start remembering. But again, I mean, of course, I love the first 5 seasons. Again, I will, I was started with one of my younger friends who had never seen Smallville before. I started like season 1 with him earlier this year, and there's like, of course, there's some things that are outdated. Like I had to explain to him, like, the Amy Adams episode, it's there's some themes that definitely that wouldn't have worked today. But back then, people didn't care about some things like that. And but yeah,
It's
no,
the Wild West.
it was the Wild West indeed. But no, I mean, again, this show, for all its good and all its weird,
And
wall of
for
weird,
Hero.
if you want to. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, and for Hero, which I consider to be one of the
Hmm.
worst episodes.
I
Also,
wonder.
penned
I
by
wonder why,
somebody
Craig.
who might have
I
written
wonder why,
something
Craig.
bad recently.
Hmm. Say that again,
No,
Craig.
no, I'm
What'd you
not going
say?
to share.
No, come
I'm
on.
not
You've
gonna
been
share.
shady. You've been shady for the first 20 minutes. You can
I'm
be.
gonna keep being shady. Just wait till we get to talking about the episode, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
of
you
course.
guys know, like
No.
you were doing so well, and it was so good, and then, I mean, it's kind of like there was a girl. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but there was a girl on Twitter the other day, around like 8:30, tweeted, "Wow, everybody's getting a happy ending," and I posted a
Uh-huh.
GIF of Lois from the end of episode 403 of Smallville. So much for my happy ending.
Craig.
Well, I mean, Derek, it's worse for me because I'm like, I've never, as a teenager watching that episode for the first time, I'm like, I've never been so happy to see someone suffer the way Chloe did. Because I'm like, you don't belong with him. You don't belong. You
Somebody give me a chair.
never belong
See,
with
even
him.
when you say when I was a teenager watching that episode, I'm like, blah. But I mean, I guess I was too. But still, it's you were younger, so it
I'm
it,
8
hurt, it
months
still
younger
hurts a
than
little bit.
Tom.
Yeah, you're we're about to hit your birthday here in a few minutes.
Yeah, we're literally recording this. On the East
Over on
Coast
this
here.
side of the world. You've
Yeah,
got a few hours, but
Yeah, Andy's already in my birthday.
that's
that's
true.
true.
It is. He can go ahead and sing to you.
I
It's
will
bad
not
luck if I do
sing.
it.
My
All right.
lungs are not made for singing.
Yeah, we
Um,
don't want him to sing. Trust
You
me.
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
If you sing it, you have to pay those two little old ladies that own the rights to it too. So
yeah,
Well, that's where we're
exactly.
like the Flintstones and be like, and he's a jolly good fella.
that's right.
But no, but like, I mean, just on the Smallville notion of it all, like again, like as just a fan of both of you, like I cannot, as a having had Krypton and Shu during my small experience, like it is part of like I cannot even imagine watching Smallville without those two, those two factors around. So thank you for both of you have done for that show and what you guys are now doing with the show continues. Again, that's why I'm so happy that both of you were a salute, and even though, Derek, you said it was kind of the last minute. I'm glad that Craig, with his power of burn, manifested it and made sure that you were there. Yeah, like I mean, now you guys are part of the phases of Smallville, and I thank you for all your service that you guys have literally done, and as for so many of us who like literally have grown up into this whole, not just in the world of journalism and in podcasting, but also just like to be a nerd in this modern age.
Yeah.
Because again, because I had no one I could talk to about Small when I was growing up. Like
Welcome
before
to KryptonSite forums, apparently.
well, I was 12 maybe. My parents would like, you know how much controlling my parents had over me when it came to the
Why
internet.
do y'all have to be so young? It just
I
kills
kn-
me.
like I would like read, like I would have to like sometimes like read KryptonSite like while I was in school, like during my classes, and my teacher like I literally remember when the season 11 comic was announced. It was I read it on KryptonSite, and I freaked out in class, and my teacher was like, "Andy, I've told you." I'm like, "But you don't understand. It's coming back."
This is my
That was when
Wikipedia.
TV Guide accidentally posted it 12 hours early.
I didn't even know. I just saw it through
Remember that?
I
KryptonSite.
vaguely remember that.
Yeah, because I had been sitting on it and waiting until the moment it launched. And then suddenly it's on tvguide.com at like 10 p.m. instead of 10 a.m.
Mm,
Yeah.
that'll happen.
Just wanted to ask you there one more because I know you with Shu, you guys are now going through the seasons that you didn't cover because you guys started with 6 and forward. So how is it how fulfilling does it feel to be able to like you guys are gonna get to covered all 200 plus episodes?
Well, don't jinx me. We'll see. I might
I'm
die
not,
before we get
I'm not letting you die before you.
I'm thinking it's been 20 years and we've only covered 7.5 seasons by this point, so it's not looking good for my mental health or physical health. No, it's been really interesting, and it was obviously something that was born out of the pandemic and lockdown. Something to do. but to turn around and come back with it, and then Superman and Lois ends up happening. We were like, kind of feel like we have to do
Yeah,
this. It's like the companion piece, and
OGs, good OGs.
well, and it started with, as you said, obviously Smallville in 2001, and by the time Superman and Lois came, the writing was kind of starting to be on the wall for the rest of the Arrowverse as things were starting to wind down. So it kind of looked like this might be the last real hurrah we get on this network with DC TV, and ultimately that ended up being correct.
That's all we're gonna get
Um,
for any TV. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
this is true. I obviously had anticipated it to last longer than it did. I lament that some of those shows got 7+ seasons and we only got 4 of a very well cinematically done show. But I'm so glad they got to end on their own terms. So yeah, it's been all that to say it's been very interesting, very fulfilling. Yeah, that's a good term for it. To kind of get to close out this era as well.
It's kind of weird to me though, because of those 4 seasons, everything was so virtual. Like
Yeah.
especially in the
Yeah,
earlier Arrowverse
yeah.
seasons, they'd have Comic-Con press rooms and all that, but then COVID knocked everything off course.
Yeah. The
And
fact
so
that the
that's
show got made at all in the era of COVID,
Yeah.
filmed during in the first year of it,
And then brought back during
yeah,
like the second year of COVID, which is even and
yeah,
it's so that so many other shows came back at the same time with them. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, it's insane that we even got 3 more years of these TV, especially with Superman Lois. That it's that raised the bar a lot for what we knew of to be CW television.
Well, I remember thinking at a certain point with the strikes last year that what if the CW just says, we're not going to do it after all? Because, I mean, there were 18 months between seasons. But I will say, despite any complaints I might have about the end of the finale, I thought season 4 was really well handled. Like, considering all the limitations, like, whenever former cast members were brought back, they were put to good use usually. And I thought that Michael Cudlitz really got to build a strong Lex Luthor, because I was a little unsure about him at the end of season 3. I'm like, this kind of feels like D'Onofrio's Kingpin or something. But Cudlitz made Lex his own and did something great. And I mean, we got Lex in a power suit fighting Superman. How awesome is that? And I'm glad we finally got Jonathan with powers. So yeah, it was a good season ultimately. I mean, even if I didn't like the finale, but
Well,
you liked it. You was just aspects of it that hurt,
yeah,
yes,
right?
two
yeah,
things can
and
be true at the same time,
yeah,
Greg. Like, it could be,
part of the sorry,
no, I
part
just
of
said
the
like, there's
issue.
two things can be true at the same time. You can both like it, but also not like other parts.
Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah,
part
no,
of the issue for me.
I loved it, and I absolutely hate it. How mad they made me at some things, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I had to walk away from it when it ended and go sit in the corner and think for a little while. Uh, you're never going to pull off a perfect series finale. It just doesn't happen. There's been maybe like 4 ever in the history of television that are just like everybody agrees they're like the bar for series finales. But so you're not going to please all the people all the time. And this show had a very strong vocal fan base. And I've seen both ends of the spectrum over the last few days of how people are feeling about it. So Craig and I are in that mix as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say part of what made this sting so much, and it stung in season 3, is how great Bitsy was with the material, and how the other actors responded. Like, just the sad, lonely looks on Clark's face. That's Tyler's acting. And it might not have hurt so bad if lesser actors were playing these people. But you see people like Bitsy and Tyler where their heart and soul goes so much into these characters. I think that's also what made it hurt, because, you love this Lois and you of course love Superman too. So
Yeah,
you don't want to see them sad.
grown it's incredible in 3 episodes? Is that all it was? That in
Yeah.
53 episodes they have cemented themselves as just iconic iterations of these
Yeah.
characters that they've brought to life.
I mean, I feel like Tyler, even when he first showed up on Supergirl, just immediately lickety split, he was
Yeah,
Clark Kent and Superman.
yeah. He just has this incredible. He's so relatable. Like
Mhm.
his Clark is so relatable. Like you just feel like you could talk to that Clark.
Yeah.
All day long. Like you could just strike up a conversation with him. And then his he's still that Clark as Superman. He just I don't know. There's something ineffable about the way he has pulled this off that I don't truly think anybody, and obviously Reeve is at all, we bow to Reeve. But he's just done something in this role that I think is going to be talked about for a long, long time to come. How well he managed the duality of those characters, that character.
One of my favorite moments of the entire series was one of the very early episodes where they're painting the house.
Yeah, it's the
And
second
then
episode.
second episode, and he has
That
to
was
go
fun.
do a save, and he waves, and he still has the paint on his hand.
Yeah,
It's like, this is what it's like to have a dad who's Superman.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. So like, part of why it stings sometimes is because those characters were so well realized.
They were so and self-actualized, and then to see them get such a bittersweet note to end on is tragic to watch unfold, and it's hard, and you do get that lump in your throat, and I I haven't said this on my show, any of my shows. I'll say it here. Yeah, there's no reason I haven't said it. I just haven't said it. Between season 3 and 4, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, like right after the finale, the season 3 finale aired. So I was glad that we were past that storyline as we were going through chemo and all that, and she's in remission. I'm not saying all that for any kind of attention or anything like that. Like we're all she's in a really good place now, and everything's good. But so watching thank you. So watching this season, and they quickly were like, she's in remission, we're good, and we got through all that. I was like, oh, good. We don't have to dwell on that for the rest of the season. That's not going to be something ongoing while we're dealing with the death of Clark and the death of Sam Lane and everything. And then ultimately we got to where we got Monday night. I was like, you sons of bitch. How dare you put me through this?
Yeah, I thought we were in the clear, and for me, I feel like I watched that finale very soon after the episode. I saw the episode where Lois found out she was in remission.
Yeah.
So I felt a little betrayed by it. I mean, I know in reality cancer might come back within 30 years, which it did here, but I just didn't feel it was necessary. Like, personally speaking, I kind of wish they had ended it with just Lois and Clark sitting on the porch.
Those are the perfect spot. They could have just like, it was right there, and it's just like, and this because something I debated with with myself on my last video that I would actually love to hear both your take on this as well, is that I never, unlike some of the other shows, like Flash or Smallville or Gotham, whatever, it's like I knew what I wanted out of their endings, but with Superman Lois, like as I went to this final season, I'm like, I don't know what I've ever expected to see a series final of this show to look like. So to get this was very mind blowing to me. Like when you guys walked into the show, from the beginning, or even thinking about this final season, did you guys in your mind think, well, this is what I would want? How did you I would want the show to end this way or that way? Was that something that ever struck your mind whatsoever?
I think it did during this season. I remember thinking that it would just be a happy ending. Clark doesn't have his powers, but Jonathan and Jordan end up picking up the mantle, as it were. And that's kind of where I thought it would end, like on an optimistic note. Unfortunately, incoming rant, I'm sorry, but I feel like the ending that we got reminded me of something that I always had a little bit of a problem with the show in general, and that's that it took itself so seriously. It didn't allow people the opportunity to be happy that often. Because you think about your favorite moments of the show, it's when, we have the flashbacks where we find out Lois is a crush on Clark and not Superman, and things like that, or when Jordan and Sarah team up to pull a prank on somebody at a party, like those moments were so great. But like even from the start with this show, like, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, but like Blake Neely had such a perfect Superman theme for Supergirl, and to just replace it with something kind of pretentious, I feel that was the thing. It's like the show was like trying too hard to be good and acclaimed, when sometimes you just need to have fun. It's Superman. Like, nobody's gonna say that, like, definitely Smallville missed the mark a lot of times too, but they allowed themselves to have fun, even if it was stupid ass things like exploding babies,
Vampires.
and hey, I like Thirst, but yeah, same deal. Or Lois, faking a story that she's a superhero named Stiletto.
Now
They're
that
silly.
was my favorite out of like all those goofy episodes. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
I'll take that over something like Noir when we're like, why are we in Jimmy's head in black and white? Why is he dreaming of being in the 50s?
Because Tom and Michael
because
need
at
to
22, 3, 1 episodes a season, we gotta fill the bucket somehow.
Yeah, and that was actually another thing I was going to say. Having only 10 episodes this season, that really cut out the filler. I think of the 10, there was only one that I didn't really care for.
Yeah, same. And I think we've discussed it's the same one.
Yeah, but I will tell you, like, especially that run between like 6 and 9, that was damn good television.
Everything from the street fight forward was just
my God, that was insane.
Yeah,
and
the
Jimmy,
fights were great. Like the action.
I mean, Jimmy Olsen was so much fun. Like, again, because you were both talking about the flashback episode in season 1. I'm like, that's why I feel like one reason I couldn't always connect to this Superman Lois as well as I did, with someone like Tom's Superman or Erica's Lois, or other things that I've seen since 2011, is because like we get a sense of where they came from. Like, for me, like, I'm like, yeah, I can accept. I know the origin story of Superman. I totally get it. But like, there's so many fun chapters of Lois and Clark's life we never got to see. So then whenever we did have flashbacks, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, let's do a little more of that, because yeah, this, and like I said it to someone after I'd seen the finale. I'm like, and someone's a Zack Snyder fan, where I had to listen to people saying, this is a dark Superman. I'm like, I think some people owe Zack Snyder an apology, because man, this show also got really, really too dark and very too serious as well. Because that's the thing, like, could you guys ever say that you had fun with the show? Like, where you could actually laugh at it? There's one thing to like have fun with a show. Like, I'm enjoying the show. This is a good show. But having fun with a show where, like, something like, the Smallville characters getting drunk and, for an episode and doing their own hungover episode. Like that's having fun, where like we can cheer and we can enjoy. But with Superman Lois, I always felt like, yes, I can enjoy it, but like, when am I laughing? When am I smiling? Because it's just so damn serious.
Well, and I think that's actually a difference with, sorry to interrupt, but the difference with when Tyler was on Supergirl, is that whenever Superman was on screen in that first two-parter he did, I was smiling. And then, of course, we meet Bitsy a couple years later in Elseworlds, being introduced with the freaking Smallville theme on the real Smallville farm. Like, it even kind of bothered me that they were too precious to use the same farm. It's like, come on, just a little nod to us. We'll understand if it looks the same on the outside but different on the inside.
I guess I'm odd man out. The show started. Clark gets fired from the journal, from the planet, and has twins. And right before the show started, my time at my newspaper ended as a reporter, and I had twins. So I was very much
wow. That's amazing. It's not amazing you got fired. That's
well, no, I didn't get fired. I didn't. But my time ended abruptly at the paper I had been with for many years. So but it very much paralleled what was going on at the Daily Planet at the time. So yeah, I was very that being kind of the log line for the show. I was really anticipating it. I don't know, maybe being a dad makes me look at it a little different than it might to the two of you. I have been just very enamored with the way they have handled this, and they take themselves too seriously. I guess I can obviously see that. I think the
Yeah.
opposite direction they went in from the Arrowverse versions of these
Oh yeah.
characters, which I mean, I don't want to step on either of your holy ground. I've know you two like the Arrowverse more than I did, but it's more live action cartoony
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right.
than
Absolutely
that, and
right.
that's what they
Yeah.
intended it to be by the end. Maybe not in the beginning, but by the end of the
Yeah.
runs of those shows, they were kind of like live action cartoons, which is fun. That's you get
Yeah.
your action figures together, and those are the kind of
Yeah, no, you're
stories you come
absolutely
up with.
correct. Yeah, and I mean,
There's
Craig and I,
not,
we've talked about this too. Where like, I mean, like we stuck until the Flash season 9, and like there was
yeah,
some goofy ass shit,
yeah,
and so yeah,
and
like
there's
I,
nothing
like,
wrong with that. I mean, that's
yeah,
just fun stuff to do with those characters. But as a diehard first and foremost, and I mean, I could argue only Superman fan, I could give up any other comic book character other than Superman, Clark Kent, and Lois Lane right now, and be perfectly happy. They're all I would need. But something about the serious tone, but also the hopeful aspect, because on the screen, on the big screen, we had just had the serious tone and
yeah,
not really the hopeful aspect as much. And I just really appreciated the way they were telling these stories and telling them from a. I felt like I didn't feel like they were playing it too serious. I felt like they were putting so much importance upon it, and like that's kind of how I viewed it. Like they were taking, yes, they were taking themselves seriously, but I think they were also taking the legacy of this character seriously and paying homage to it, and not
yeah,
making it live action cartoony and not making it grim and dark, and finding that nice middle road in between that was respect on his name, which I argue all the time on our shows. We don't eat well as Superman fans a lot of the time. We're not Batman fans first and foremost that feast on smorgasbords at every turn, that have
every year.
14 different iterations going on. We grasp at straws and ask for scraps, and we've finally eaten well here
Yeah.
recently, and it's been very nice, especially seeing like a resurgence of Smallville, people finding it now for the first time. Obviously, we're only what 7 months now away from the next version of whatever we're about to get. If you like My Adventures with Superman, if that's your
I
thing, it's a
love it
great
so much.
show as well. So uh, to say they took themselves too seriously, I yes, I would agree with that. But I think they also took the property seriously, and I think that was kind of what that was born out of, was let's do what really hasn't been done before, and we're not doing a we don't get to the point where we're fighting Nuclear Man with Gene Hackman's voice, or exploding babies, or fruit roll
I
up
would totally
cape
watch
on.
Nuclear Man with Gene Hackman's voice, though.
I would too, but so I really think a lot of that was just born out of respect for Superman and Lois Lane. And I think you see that in the ending, whether you liked the ending or not, whether you agree with it or not. I think it showed how much they cared about these characters to show them through their life, and show the hopefulness and the joy and the friendship and wonder, and Clark's entire monologue there at the end. Um, would I have done things differently? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's me. I don't necessarily, and no, and there's people who wouldn't have liked what I would have probably done with it
Right.
had I been in charge of it. So that's the world
Well,
that
now I kind of want you to
currently.
try me. I actually kind of want, like, how would you want it to end it?
I see. I don't know, because that would have involved taking the season route differently, other than you couldn't get to the 10th hour and then tell me, okay, everything that's happened thus far, you finish it. That would have been hard to do. I would have had to start that from the beginning. I thought Tyler was going to be out of the picture longer, or at least Tyler proper. I thought that they were going to be telling Superman stories through flashbacks, kind of like Kevin Smith had done with He-Man, killing him off in the first episode of that of the Netflix series, and then only showing He-Man in flashbacks. I kind of thought that was the route they were going to go with this. And then they introduced the Fortress Clark, and I was like, oh, that's how we're keeping Tyler afloat. And then they didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
So I really expected him to be off the board for at least half the season, and then make a bigger splash on his return. And I loved the Sam Lane story. I really thought they found a good way to utilize him in the end, but I expected with that kind of, as soon as I knew that's where they were going, I was like, oh, he's going to age. Like his heart's not going to be able to keep up with his abilities. So they obviously set so much up there in the beginning, but it was not what I was anticipating at all. I mean, if you had told me we would have had the best looking Doomsday ever, I would have called you a liar. Yeah, that
I
My
will
favorite
say
is
that
Krypton.
yeah, it's a tie for me with Krypton and
Oh, no, I love
Superhero.
Kryptons, but obviously half of that was him being a practical puppet.
Yeah.
That was
is what made
practical?
him. If he was moving and like running and stuff, that was CG. But they had a full life-size puppet version of him that they interacted, kind of marionetted and worked from behind, and it's really interesting. There's a really cool featurette on it on YouTube where you can watch them using it if you hadn't seen it before. But yeah, they refer to it as a puppet. But I digress. Anyway, obviously different choices would have been made, and I thought they were going to go one way, and they surprised me with some of the stuff they did. I'm like Craig, I wasn't sold on Cudlitz at first. I liked his first two appearances, but I kind of wondered once we found out the reductions were happening and he was going to get bumped up to main cast. I was like, I wonder how that interaction is going to go. They took some heavy swings, and I think they shot for the fences on some things and did really well with it. I think the identity reveal, which is something that I can't stand. I do not like the public reveal at all. They nailed it. I mean, they made me a fan of it. And talking about this with Todd Helbing and Brent Fletcher,
which you guys can see on their YouTube channel and on audio format. So go check it out. There will be links in the video description below because it's a great interview. And check out Craig
Andy.
as well. Of course, you guys crushed it. Even if Todd and Brent gave, some very interesting answers.
Yeah, and they said I told them in the interview, I was like, I don't like the reveal. I've never liked it. I think it's
like when
cheap.
Bendis did it was terrible.
Yeah, and I think it's a cheap ploy, and I don't think it has legs. I think he's too important. I think the secret identity is too important for Superman, more than any other superhero ever, in my opinion. But they said we don't like it either. They said we wanted to challenge ourselves to come up with a way that we liked, and I'll be danged if they didn't. Yeah. They did a great job with it.
No, I mean, for me,
I was going to say to piggyback. Oh, sorry. To piggyback on what you were saying about it not being a live action cartoon, I will say though that watching the early episodes, I had this feeling of, holy cow, I am watching a TV show about Superman. And that was really exciting because I don't think we ever expected to see a TV show where Superman's flying around punching people. And I mean, we've had Superman shows before, but they were kind of limited in what they could offer visually. And Smallville, we didn't really have Superman except for a little tiny CG thing.
I mean, I will argue that he is Superman with or without a suit. I think that's something Smallville proved for 10 good years. But I get the argument people make that. Again, for me, like I also really thought that like the identity reveal. Okay, he doesn't have that anymore. All right, cool. I can dig it. I mean, normally I'm so used to when Superman stories do, like when he does come out and reveal his secret identity. I'm like, well, they just get retcon the next issue or in the next episode or in the next movie, or so I'm not really used to it sticking. But then when I actually
Spider-Man's identity has been revealed.
What's
kind of like when Spider-Man's identity was revealed and then it was
And
only for one movie.
well, I liked the multiverse aspect, but that was weird. That was weird. I'm not sure what they were thinking there, but with this, like as I saw the season progress, I'm like, oh my god, I'm liking this. Like I'm liking that he doesn't like just seeing Tyler in regular clothes but no glasses. Like it took me 3 weeks to get used to it. I'm like, oh my, this is cool in a lot of ways. I felt if I felt bad for any, I felt bad for the boys because I'm like, well, normalcy is over. There's no, you're in the spotlight now for the rest of your life, and because we know that on this earth, there are no other superheroes other than the supers. I'm
And
like, okay,
Nat and John Henry.
of course, but the public doesn't really know because technically they think John Henry Irons is dead because he died on this earth.
I'm sure that changes between now and 32 years from now when he's running Steelworks.
That's true. That's true. And oh my god, I was crying out of happiness seeing him finally get this Steel suit. Because I'm like, first of all, Superman Lois made Steel cool again in live action. Like listen, no disrespect to Shaquille O'Neal, but that movie sucked ass. And the fact that they actually they brought John Henry Irons into this, and they made him like he's a badass, he's cool, and he gets to do stuff when he's not knocked out or has his suit hacked or something. Because damn, I mean, like
They
I
really
kind of got
did
in
him
the whole.
dirty sometimes.
They did him dirty sometimes, yeah. But yeah, like I mean, for me, I think my biggest problem with this finale is that I have gotten so used to seeing Superman die in a lot of media, a lot of stories, and also I'm just used to seeing Tyler now dying on screen because last year he died as Derek in Teen Wolf, and now he died as Superman. So I'm like, I'm used to it. And see, there's really only one Derek left now.
They killed him. They killed him off when they brought back Teen Wolf.
Yeah, in the movie. So there's only one.
I completely forgot they even made a movie. But yeah, okay.
Yeah,
They killed him off there too.
So did the rest of us because that movie was questionable. So then seeing him die as Superman, I'm used to it. But for me, what traumatized me was that I think again I thankfully never have to deal with someone in my close family having cancer. And I mean my heart goes out to both of you what you have to go through. But having to see Lois like die and like actually die from this, especially because again it is cruel in a lot of ways when literally we have a line of her saying in the previous episode, oh, my cancer treatments are done, my cancer is essentially gone, and I'm like, okay, great, that's gone. But the fact that we still got it here, and I'm like, that it actually traumatized me. That was like one of the things that my therapy session was mostly about, because I'm like, Lois Lane is a mother of journalism. Like she's the reason why why probably all three of us here, she's probably had an influence in one way or another of why we're reporters today. And like I can't accept an adaptation for Lois Lane is dead because this is because I watch TV to escape the real world. Like I get I get it, cancer comes back, I get people get sick, but I go to TV because I know like we can have happy endings. I felt when we got to the porch scene and they're sitting there, I'm like,
yeah,
Todd, Brent, just cut it there. I don't care if we have to get up 10 minutes of this finale. Just cut it. Just slice it there. That is perfect.
Give us more Clark and Lois together, unless Kyle and Lana or something. Also.
Yeah. I've let it go, and then I've kind of come back around on it and gotten bitter about it all over again. That Kyle and Lana get a goodbye scene when they already had a breakup goodbye scene at the end of season 3. They pretty much had the exact same scene over again. And it's longer than Clark and Lois one scene in the episode, and I'm like, I just don't understand why we spent so much time on Lana in this episode. She's got the previously on, she's got the opening scene. I think she threw the hammer at Doomsday. I'm convinced.
No, that was my king, John Henry Irons, who did that because he had the gauntlet on when that's why he used the throw. That has to be canon.
It's funnier to think that only the mayor of Smallville can wield this hammer, though. Be she worthy.
I was just waiting for Chrissy to have magic tears that would like awaken people.
Yeah.
From death.
Somebody who
magic tears.
Jacob, who said that? That was like,
yeah, Jacob.
Did he say it to you too? He said it to me.
And I don't remember this.
That was the vibe I got when Jordan was trying to resuscitate Jonathan. It got the Chloe trying to bring back Lois vibes.
Oh, right, she did have that thing. I forgot. I don't remember the
mhm,
Brainiac part. I forgot that she could like
heal.
crying heal people or whatever it
Yeah,
was. That was so like, imagine watching that season 6 as a teenager, being like, "What just? How did I don't
yeah,
understand this."
yeah.
They
Um,
didn't either. Don't worry.
yeah.
But
So
yeah,
yeah, I'm still a little. I would. The first act is great. Everything. The
Oh
Battle of
yes,
Smallville is so well done. I can't believe they pulled it off on that reduced budget, and having pretty much everybody back in this episode too. And the ending is so bittersweet and romantic and lovely. And yes, I would have loved if he had said family, and actually Jonathan and Martha and Jor-El and Laura had been standing there to embrace him. That
Kara,
would have
Kara.
been nicer to me than seeing Lana and John Henry again, or Chrissy and Kyle again. I feel like we said their goodbyes already.
why was
Um
Lex there? I didn't understand that. That was kind of like went over my head if there was a
that
deeper
It was
meaning to
I
about
that.
I
making amends with forgiveness.
yeah, forgive, at the end of your life, and letting those things go. And yeah, I liked that.
I did too.
I'm not saying he should have been out on the porch. That should not have been the last thing. But
Uh,
I just him sitting at the table, I was like, this is an awkward. I feel like the choice of how they shot it was a little. We went from the grandkids straight to Lex. Um, it I think the lineup should have been a little different, in my
I
opinion.
will.
But
Oh, sorry.
no, you're good.
No, I will
I'll
say
talk too
though,
much.
as much as I disliked what they did as far as people dying, I did think it was incredibly touching that Lois had the red dress on.
Yes, yeah,
When he went out the door,
that he
like
was so
that.
fond of.
Gorgeous
Yeah,
queen as always.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I wish they had floated away in the end. If it had been me writing
they
that
already spent
scene,
the budget.
they would have
Oh my god,
lifted.
that is so much more romantic. What? Oh,
Just
damn it,
with
Todd and Brent. I
but
can't Brent, and you can't just blame Todd anymore. I have to blame things on Brent.
you
This
have
is more
to.
sweeter. That's sweeter. That's sweeter out there. Why did you put it out there? Fuck. That
You
actually would have been so nice.
you have to let go. Again, it goes back to the fact that on paper this show should not exist. In an
No.
era of TV shows that were getting canceled left and right due to COVID, and film productions being shut down and logged for backlog for months and months and months, and some films getting released years later, it's
Or not at all.
or not
I
at
mean,
all.
there was Warner Brothers, David
Yeah,
Zaslav. I mean, you
yeah.
could have just canceled the
It's
show.
it's a miracle that the series ever saw the light of day in the first place, and the fact that we got 4 seasons, and the fact that it was on death's door at the end of season 3, with a new universe emerging, and the changes at Warner. The fact that they got a final season, were able to do it, and I have to let some of that brow furrowing go and be like, they were able to pull something off, literally having almost everything taken away from them. Like, it's like, you
Yeah,
can't play in this sandbox anymore. Here's your shovel. We're not giving you a pail. You figure out the hole you're gonna, put yourself in.
and
And they
P.S. You don't
managed
even have
to.
the farm anymore.
Yeah. By the way, we tore down the farm.
Yeah. Oh my
Because
god. Like if you had seen because I talked to Alex Garfin earlier this season, and like I didn't know that the
yeah.
farm was gone. So I'm like, so what are you guys on? He's like, studio interior. And I'm
Hmm.
like,
Do you not read KryptonSite? I had a whole article about
I
that.
of course I read Krypton. I forget things so great. Craig. I'm also getting old. Like I can trust me. Like my I'm aging. Like my mind is not what it used to be 10 years ago. But of
Like
course I
Clark.
read Krypton. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you. Like again, I was like, but wait, what did he? If there's no farm, what are they shooting on? Like what did he do? I mean, you can't have a show in small without the farm. So like that was just blasphemous for me. Yeah, I mean, Derek is right. This show should have not existed. The fact that, I mean, I was jokingly telling Craig, like, Frau, as we were waiting for season 4, I'm like, just watch David Zaslav just do another tax write-off. He's gonna be like, why do we air these 10 episodes? Just to get some money back. I really felt like they're gonna take this away from us, and the fact that we even got
I
it.
think this was probably the most consistent season since season 1. Because I
I
loved
would agree
season 1
with that.
also.
I would agree with that.
They did a great
And
job ultimately.
I said at the end of season 3, they wrapped up almost every storyline.
Yeah.
we had Kyle proposing to Chrissy and her being pregnant. That could have been the end for them. John Henry and Lana got together. That could have been the end for them.
John Henry and Nat are moving to Metropolis.
Lois has rung the bell, the cancer. We hope we can assume she's in remission if we don't have to hear about it again. The only Jordan and Sarah weren't in a great place, but
who cares?
You could end there.
Apparently.
Craig, I care. That was my chef. That was my chef.
You're almost as bad as the Schlollies. They were toxic.
Don't you dare compare me to those nutcases. Like I was never even fond of the idea of Oliver and Chloe fucking each other on the spot where Jimmy even died. That was disturbing to me. Like, trust me, I was never in favor. I'm like, isn't he supposed to be with Black Canary? Because I was watching Justice League 11 when I was growing up. Like, don't even. I don't want to be.
I think this is where Derek and I show our age, because I don't think either of us cared that much who Jonathan and Jordan ended up with in the end.
No.
I'm a sucker for love, and like this was like sweet teenage love, also because I see so much of myself in Jordan. That's why I'm kind of like, So of course, like watch my face when he's like, that wasn't Sarah that he was with in the end of the finale. I'm like, well, he wasn't. He was some random name, and I'm like,
somebody asked me if that was Candace and Sarah, and I was like, I didn't even consider it would be either one of those people. Like that didn't even cross my mind when I saw they had spouses. Like. And
that's a lot of kids, by the way. That was a lot of kids.
Well, they were twins. They probably had twins. Like it's they probably.
No offense to anybody who's fathered twins, but having that many children is my nightmare. Like that was not a happy ending for me either. I'm like, oh my god, this
well, well, at the point, what I think there were 10 because there was
how many diapers?
I think.
And did they wear the diapers on the outside?
I think there were 10.
And this economy?
I asked Todd and Brent, I was like, are they, are they still Supermaning at this point? And they were like, oh, absolutely. I was like, well, they're at Easter. I would have been running it, it was like, oh, I hear something, and, shirt rip and run out. Kids for a little while. No, they wouldn't have done that. But that was another question I had. I was like, okay, the show's called Superman. Maybe we see that the boys are still doing men are still doing this,
but the
in
show's
some way.
Called Superman and Lois. Now Superman and Lois are dead.
Well, it's not called John Henry and Lana either. I don't know why we spent 12 minutes there, but
no, it's called Meet the Fishings.
I mean, I was happy that John Henry Irons got a happy ending because this man has been abused so much on this show that I'm like, listen, like let him. Also,
I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's nobody on this show I don't like. I'm glad so many of them got a happy ending. I feel like we
did it. We did.
I feel like we just kept revisiting people we've already kind of tied the knot on, and literally. And
characters. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I need to stop.
Speaking of characters who had endings, one of my favorite moments in all 4 seasons was Talrow's final scene where he's like, "Hello, weird Smallville."
Yeah,
like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I was sad we didn't get to see him again, but I thought that was a good note for him to end on.
Do you guys remember when Superman and Lois had a whole season with a villain named Allie who ran a cult?
I do. Quite well, actually.
How did nobody flag that?
Derek, when he called me that night, when the episode aired, he's like, Andy, doesn't this remind you of something? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, a crazy woman named Allie in Smallville is running a cult. And I'm sitting there, and Allison Mack's face comes like flashing in front of me, and I'm like, oh my god, I hate this. I'm like, I need the season to be over already. And that's probably like why season 2 is probably my least favorite season. Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't need this cult. I don't need, and like,
they did have some pretty good reveals that year, like making us think that Doomsday was coming on, but it was actually Bizarro, who later became Doomsday anyway. That was pretty amazing.
They loved their
little Mr. X
switcheroos that they like to do.
I was a little disappointed that Milton Fine hadn't been Tom Cavanaugh's character. I mean, Dr. Curdle Jr. is great, but
he was actually good, yeah.
Dwight Schrute Jr. I think obviously the plan was to do more with him moving
Yeah.
forward, and I guess they've outright said that now.
Yeah, and Jay said even on table was the Bottle City of Candor.
right, the Bottle City and all that.
So you can't say he lacks Candor.
Yeah. But I thought it another one of their little switcheroos. That was all. Just a little homage, the same way they had done Captain Luther, and then it ended up being John Henry Irons, and that kind of thing.
Eventually, we got Lex in the armor too.
Yeah, it was really nice. I think I said on the show the WB began with Clark Kent in Smallville meeting Lex Luthor, and the CW is going to end with Clark Kent
goodbye to Lex Luthor,
fighting Lex Luthor in Smallville at the end here. Nice little bow on top of that.
Yeah, I kind of wish that the show hadn't been too precious to give us more Easter eggs.
Yeah,
because that would have been a good thing, like to have like the Welcome to Smallville billboard or something.
Yeah,
as one of the final shots. But I do feel a little bit cheated. I don't know about you guys, and I know I was responsible for a lot of the hinting, but I did expect bigger surprise guests ever since Bitsy said what she did this summer. And like, where are like Grant Gustin and Melissa Benoist to pop in with a musical number at the end or something?
No, I'm not even. I would have wanted that. Like, listen, I love Grant and
What if
Melissa,
it's the
but I'm not
song at
even.
the end of Glee, Andy?
What the fuck
I
was the
did
final song?
it
in Glee?
all.
No, no. Because
Am
I'm
I
like,
the only person that's glad that none of them showed up? And it's no disrespect to any of them whatsoever, but I just
I'm
felt like
okay
it
with
would
it.
have. I just felt like it would have taken the spotlight away in an
Yeah.
episode that already had the spotlight taken away from Clark and Lois.
The only thing I would have done, and this is how, like, because I think Melissa should have been there, but again, I get it, it's a separate Earth, whatever. But this is how, like, I said this on a different podcast that I was on this week, and I said this is how, like, it would have been a nice thing, at least for the boys, because again, I'm so precious about, especially Jordan, but like, I cared about seeing these two super sons. But for me, what would have been really cool is like, as again, first of all, what I would have done differently is that this should have been a two-part finale. All the action stuff should have happened in 9, and this should have been episode 10 should have just been an hour of the future. There was so much. No. Hold on. Like like my progression in therapy is gonna show here right now. It's gonna show here right now. And what I would have done is in the future segment, I would have had Kara eventually come to Earth. Because we know in Krypton, DC lore, Phantom Zone time doesn't move the way it does. That's how you can have Melissa look like Melissa. She does. She found out that she couldn't fulfill her mission to be there for her cousin, but instead, look at these two wonderful men that her cousin left behind that are now without a family. Let
And one of
Auntie
them is the
Kara.
guy from Grimm.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. That was weird seeing her husband play her own son. I'm like, wait a minute. I get it. I get they're together in real life, but why is he playing like the son? Like,
It's to show us that clearly Bitsy has a type, because I feel like Tyler and David Giantoli look like they could be brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. But that's how if I would have had any Arrowverse cameos, it would have been to get Melissa in there just to kind of show that Kara is there, and maybe she could be there for the boys as Clark
Or
is gone.
Diggle finally getting his freaking ring. I mean, we've seen Diggle on the show. He's like, yeah, Bruno
Speaking of digging yourself in a hole,
never see him again. What?
Speaking of digging yourself in a hole, my God, they just beat him with that shovel, didn't they? They were like, "Here, have another little vignette with your Green Lantern thing that we're never going to give you." I'm like, good grief! I felt bad for him. They just kept.
Yeah, remember when they asked how Oliver's or what happened after Oliver in episode 7 or so?
Yeah.
What happened there?
They did mention
he never needed to show. I
No.
loved that this show was just set apart.
I
Like,
wish it had been
again,
set apart
that's
from the beginning.
Yeah. I have no disrespect again for the Arrowverse whatsoever. I watched 80% of it.
Then you're like, "Up, Flash is a Cecile show now. I'm done."
If he even knows who Cecile is.
I tapped out of the Flash before Cecile was a hero, I think. Well, before she was a superhero. Before
Hashtag we
she
are
was
the
on the show,
Flash.
but
Hey,
I
Craig,
tapped out
no,
there.
Craig, do not make fun of We Are the Flash because Grant even said it at Fan Expo this weekend. Like he
I
even
know,
knows
and
that.
Grant is allowed to be wrong sometimes. And Kyle Gallner could beat him in a race.
Just because they
that.
play the characters doesn't mean they're always right, Stephen.
Oh,
So
or oh wait, now I'm thinking of Television Without Pity when like Allison said no, Erica is Lois, and they're like, Allison doesn't know her character.
yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, one of the funniest things, I mean, for people who didn't get to listen to, I grew up with Shu's coverage of Television Without Pity and that insanity that was, show us, or however you say. I can't do that. I can't do it with my vocal cords anymore. But like, you know, if you think the Arrowverse, yeah, there you go. If you think the
Back of
Arrowverse
the
had
throat.
crazy fandoms, you never saw what we dealt with Smallville back in the day. Like, and
Oh,
I had to live mostly through Derek and Steve and Craig because I wasn't as much on Twitter back then. But I would hear like, if Craig didn't post this spoiler on the spoiler page, he would get this much hate. And if Derek and Steve said this on Shoe when they didn't mean anything bad by it, then they got this much hate for it. I'm just like,
yeah,
Oh.
they had a whole campaign against us to Warner Brothers, like that we shouldn't be allowed to have any kind
The
of
Arrow
press
fans did that one to
relationship.
me.
Yeah, you shouldn't have allowed to have any press relationship with Warner Brothers anymore, or see episodes in advance and all this stuff. And I was just like, you people.
Well, I just
I
remember
will
when
say
they
though, and I
ended the
never
quote about
was.
Savior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was never involved enough into the Arrowverse to know how cutting some of that got.
It got
Craig would
nasty.
tell me things, but it seemed like the younger people. I say that as an old person now. It seemed like the younger people were a little bit meaner. They were cutting a little. They were cutting a little harder. What?
Like in
yeah,
Smallville fandom, I felt like people mostly stayed in their lanes. Like the Chloe people were at Television Without Pity. The Kalana people were at Sweet. Divine
Well, it
Intervention.
was always kind of like
Lois
Jets and
people.
Sharks too. Like would face like they all roundabout face off, but it was never nobody was throwing
Yeah,
stuff.
but like
And it
literally,
felt like. Go ahead.
there were people who were trying to get me blacklisted by the CW.
Oh yeah,
who were Arrow
no,
fans.
us too.
But
But
explain
the
the
Arrowverse.
thing about that Savior review because I thought that was so crazy.
Oh, when I said this isn't Smallville anymore. It's Superman. Yeah, I said that, and they said, oh, they like ran with it. They cut out the Superman part. And they were like, they're saying this isn't Smallville anymore. You should.
That sounds like Snyder Bro behavior.
Yeah, but the
that's
Arrowverse
something
seemed
he would do.
like the Arrowverse people just seemed like if Smallville fans were Jets and Sharks kind of facing off in the street dancing around each other, they seemed like Waffle House at 3 a.m. I mean, you said something bad about Felicity, and it was like, here comes half the internet with a metal folding chair across your face.
I had a friend, Chris, who wrote for Zap To It, Screener TV, whatever you want to call it, and they wrote a headline where it said something about Chloe nuking a city, or not Chloe, Felicity nuking a city or something like that. And they all piled onto Chris, and Chris would actually kind of kiss up to them sometimes. But they thought Chris wrote that headline, so he ended up on their poopy list.
Oh,
I
was not involved in any of that. I was
you're lucky.
You know that cat meme where it's wearing in the snow, where it's wearing overalls. It's like, what are they doing over there? That was me through like the entire Arrowverse.
I don't know. Did you ever hear the season when they killed off the Black Canary by any chance?
Which time?
Katie Cassidy's version.
I stopped Arrow and then started it back at the end. I want to say, what did it run? 8 seasons?
Yeah.
I want to say I stopped at the end of 5 and I came back for 8.
Yeah,
which is not something I do with television. If I have escalation of commitment with most things, even if I hate a show, I have to finish it.
Quit, I would have done it during 3 or 4.
It just got to be so many, and then it was like, you got to watch this one before you watch this, and I was like, I'm out. I can't do it. I don't have enough free time to devote to this. I'm supposed to watch TV to unwind and not have to think about
it's not supposed to be work.
Yeah,
I will tell you what happened to me. This again, because I mean, Craig has had crazy experience. I've had crazy experience, but because I was very pro Oliver and Laurel because again, I like Black Canary with Green Arrow. That's just the
Sure.
way it is. But I never hated Felicity, but I didn't like the ship Felicity because first of all, I didn't think Oliver even deserved her. But also, I think Felicity had like all her character just became about Oliver and her relationship at that point. But when it was revealed that someone was going to die in season 4, and somehow through I don't know what set photos they were or something, but they had figured out that it was Laurel's funeral they were filming. Then the episode airs eventually. And, I'm destroyed. I am mentally destroyed because Black Canary, Laurel was a very important character for me, especially growing up. That's a different story for another time. But the next morning, and again, this is how crazy that fandom could be. My inbox of an email I have never shared online was swarmed with, I'm not gonna say how many numbers. It's definitely in the double digit of pictures of dead birds or slander against me, being like, your birdie's dead, go fuck yourself. All these Olicity fans came after me,
Golly.
and like I remember, like I was like, this it's a TV show. And I was like scared for my life because I'm like, I think I went to Craig, like, Craig, what do I do with this? He's like, don't look at me. They've called Suzanne Gomez and try to get me fired when I don't even work for her.
Yep.
So
Yep. I mean, the internet's so much more fun now than it was, when we went into the internet, when the internet was the place you visited and you didn't just carry it around with you all day long.
What I find interesting is on KryptonSite, I used to get away with posting so much. Like, I remember around one Christmas, I'm like, Chloe's going to find out in Pariah as an article. And it's like, I would never get away with that now.
No.
Like,
Absolutely
it was when it became the CW that things got a little bit like Susan Kessler, who was the most wonderful publicist
ever,
was like, she was like, well, if you come across any information before, please check with us first. And that's when I started checking with them first. And I remember when Oliver Queen casting sides went out. And first I emailed Susan Kessler and was like, hey, you might want to have these taken down before anybody else finds them. And the second thing, I sent Al Goff an email and I was like, who'd be a great Green Arrow? Justin Hartley. Because I had seen the Aquaman pilot already. And he's like, that's funny, we cast him this morning.
Derek, I still think to this day that there's a part of the story that Craig is not telling us that, like, I think he somehow manifested that casting. Because I'm like, how do you just...
I manifested Ian Somerhalder being on the show.
Yeah.
April Fool's was my favorite day because every year something would end up happening.
Oh my God. Speaking of that, I don't remember if I told Tim to draft it or not, but we got tagged in all this stuff about crypto in the Superman Lois finale because there was a TikTok video that went viral saying that the cameo was Shelby from Smallville. And I was like, please tell me you have enough critical thinking to understand that there's no earthly way that is the same dog. So Tim compiled.
They meant the same like breed of dog.
No. They meant Shelby from Smallville. That's why it's a golden retriever.
That dog would be like 30 years old.
They used the same dog, and I was like, that dog has died, sir. But we kept getting tagged, and I was like, so I told Tim, I was like, just come up with a thread of like 3 things about, nicely saying, that dog was a grown dog in 2004. That dog has died. Another dog played it on the show. It was a grown dog in 2010. So the likelihood that a large breed golden retriever is still alive 13 plus years later when it was already probably a 6-year-old dog is not. The math ain't mathing.
The math is not mathing.
Generation is,
but
I don't understand it either.
He was trying to find pictures of the different iterations of the dog on Smallville, and he found it won't take me but a second to scroll back to it because I'm pretty sure I pinned it, but he found KryptonSite from 2008, April 1st, 2008. The big character death revealed, it's Shelby. I was like, Craig, that's
so dark.
I don't even remember that.
April
I
1st,
do remember in
2008.
season 3, I had a headline like, "Who's leaving at the end of the season?" and the thumbnail image was Pete. I
Yeah.
did know in that case,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So this was leading up to Lionel's death at
yeah.
the end of season 7, and you said that the dog was dying.
Craig, that is
The
cruel.
the closing line, the big doggy death episode, Descent, airs on April 17th. I was like, God. He was like, "Can I throw this in?" I was like, let's just leave that one alone.
I had so much fun doing those, and we're only 5 months away from doing it again.
Yep. Can't wait to see what you've cooked up next time, sir.
If you go after Crypto in the new movie, Craig, I will
Do what?
be. Don't you dare go after Crypto in the new movie, like for the
I
April Fool's
won't.
show, because that dog looks so cute.
That dog does look adorable. They're gonna make me fall in love with that dog.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna buy, like, if there's Funkos or like plush toys or anything. I'm like my wall is gonna be empty. I'm doomed.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna ask this final question before we wrap this is this, because this is really the end of an era. So, again, for all the weird, all the fun, all the whatever, what is gonna be your biggest takeaway from the Arrowverse for the last 12 years?
I'm gonna let Craig go first because he's had more relationship with it than I have.
I think the biggest legacy of the Arrowverse, especially when Mark Pedowitz was at the CW, is that shows like these were viable. Because Don Ostroff tried so hard to kill Smallville so many times. Oh, I'm going to move it to Friday with no lead out, just all kinds of craziness. And Smallville continued and endured. And then, it got bigger ratings and reruns than some of the new CW programming at the time. And then, Arrow came around and it was a big hit. And Flash came along and it was an even bigger hit. And yes, I do think they did too much at a time. Maybe we didn't need to think about like a spin-off for Painkiller or something. Just as a random example. Jordan Calloway's great, but you know what I mean. We don't need 9 CW DC shows at one time. But I think they kind of showed that these series are viable. And I kind of am going to miss, because now it seems like everything that's streaming, number one, they don't involve me in the press, which makes me mad. But number two, it only is 8 episode seasons. I love those 22 episodes. I mean, I know there was filler for Smallville or Flash or Arrow or anything, but we had something to look forward to every month. And I think about how painful it was between seasons of Smallville to get from one spot to the other. And Superman Lois, we had to wait 18 months or something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's incredible. I mean, I'm glad we got this 4th season, but it's also kind of sad because it really, ending Superman and Lois kind of shows that the CW as we knew it was dead. And that's kind of sad because, in streaming, we do get the occasional DC adjacent show, Dead Boy Detectives, which was brilliant. That would have lasted at least 5 seasons on the CW under Pedowitz.
Yeah,
it would have been great. And because it had aspects of supernatural and all that stuff. It was a great show, highly recommended. It's on Netflix. But the streaming model also is kind of flawed because how many years has it been since Sandman season 1 ran?
Yeah.
And I mean, I do think there is space for short run series like Penguin was probably one of the best things I've seen this year. And that was only 8 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
And so, but again, I feel like, Smallville did its thing and ended up on a network that didn't care about them as much, unfortunately. And then that network got a new head in Mark Pedowitz and really allowed this universe. And I think we owe a lot of credit to Greg Berlanti for spearheading a lot of these
Of course.
things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know his name hasn't come up that much in this conversation, but he believed that we could do this, and he also kind of pushed the boundaries because, I mean, there was a time, even the first season of Supergirl, where having Superman on TV was seemed like it was going to be impossible.
Foreboding, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it happened, and it happened well. I mean, we had Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like, when Smallville ended 14 years ago, or however many years, because I can't do math, because that's why I'm a writer. 13 years, I guess it is. But I thought, okay, that's the last we're going to see is Tom Welling and, as Clark, and Erica Durance as Lois. And then we had Crisis, which
Well,
I
I
know is,
mean, the
yeah,
MCU wasn't doing that kind of stuff yet. It was, and
no,
Yeah.
obviously
nobody
Smallville
was.
predated the MCU. It never crossed our minds that night, like
No,
watching the finale. It was like, oh, I wonder if we'll ever see. Like, that was not a considering
yeah,
factor
it was like, this is
whatsoever.
it.
Maybe Welling will play Jor-El in 30 years and something
Maybe
like
Erica
a
will play Supergirl's mom.
yeah, very quickly.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was such a, there was a finale to it. Finality is the word. Sorry, I'm stepping on my words. But I feel like now, and again, that's why I think the Smallville finale has aged better than it was when it first aired, because maybe we could see him in a costume. Like, I have no issue with it. I think Erica said this at Salute to Smallville. I have no issue with the crisis scene, because A, it got Tom to come back, but B, for all we know, he could just pop into that Kryptonian sauna or whatever, get his powers back. And he also would not give up his powers if the world wasn't being protected by others. Because that's Superman. Superman wants to make sure people are taken care of. And yeah, so I loved that scene. And I loved that they were able to do that. I mean, we had to see Brandon Routh as Superman again. That was amazing. It wasn't like a bad CG thing like Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater in that movie that shall not be named, that was
Mm,
even worse than Batman v Superman, if that's possible.
mm.
But
Craig.
I have to bash Batman v Superman.
I
It was
know, I
bad.
know.
I
I will
don't
take.
think it. I don't think it gets said enough that they had Helen Slater show up to set and wear a costume.
And she looks good. She looks like
Yeah.
she could still be a Supergirl.
Yeah,
Same with, like, if they had Linda
and
Carter. Oh,
that's what
when Linda
they
Carter was at
did
the end
to
of
her
Wonder
and
Woman.
Nick Cage.
Yeah. When Linda was at the end of Wonder Woman 1984, she's still
Yeah.
gorgeous. Like,
Yep.
let her be. I mean, not everybody's aged like Dean Cain, so we should be grateful for that.
Derek, any closing thoughts on, again, your experience from getting to continue the DC legacy in any way, form, whether it was just for Superman Lois or whatever, like what's your takeaway from this journey?
I've said I wasn't as involved with the Arrow shows. I watched the majority of them. I fell off on a few things. I think a lot of Arrowverse fans that weren't Smallville fans don't give Smallville the credit that it's due. They're like, no, it all started here. It all started with Arrow. I'm like, there wouldn't have been an Arrow if there wouldn't have been a Smallville, and so it's all been born out of that. But I mean, there wouldn't have been a Smallville if there wasn't a Superman the movie, and you can go back and domino effect that all you want to. It's all born these universes are all born out of one thing or another. But I say all that to say I was really invested in the majority of all of them when they started, because of my great love for these characters. I loved Supergirl on CBS. I thought that first season was fantastic. They're trying something new on a network that you would never see anything like that on. And so when they started bringing her into the fold, when season 2 and weaving these characters together, that was really interesting to watch happen. And it made me miss Smallville even more, because I'm like, I wish we could have had, it was always scraps we got.
Yeah.
Yes, you can use this person. No, you can't use that person. No, we're going to have that person on the big screen. And it doesn't matter that we're going to have them on the small screen too, but we're going to have them on the big screen, and you can't have them on the small screen. It was just every time we reached for something, we got slapped away, it felt like. So to watch, like I think I said at the beginning, to watch live action figures kind of get to go on to other shows and do all these things was really neat. And it harkened back like to the 80s and early 90s for me, when all these shows we would watch would cross over with each other and
Circle
spin off
Lens and
from,
Step by
and
Step.
That was like that was
Yeah.
the my kind of like you'd get Three's Company and then you get the Ropers, like that all that
Boss Hog visits Mel's
felt
Diner.
like it. That's I always thought that was the coolest thing when Alf would show up on somebody else's show, and stuff like that. So it harkened back to that for me with this series. And obviously we would not have Superman and Lois if we didn't have the Arrowverse. So obviously you do have to domino effect forward too, and recognize what was born out of that with Berlanti and obviously Helbing coming over from Flash and helming Superman and Lois with Fletcher. And I think it put a nice little end note on things where everything pretty much got wrapped up. I think Legends was the only one that got canceled before it got to close out. Is that
That
right?
one didn't really end either.
They ended on a cliffhanger, and it was
that's right. They
kind
did,
of their own
obviously.
fault in a lot of ways. They kind of because they knew there was a big chance that they were not going to come back, but they were like, let's just do it.
I always likened that show to if Arrow or Flash were Buffy, it was very much Angel and sort of where they went with things on that show. And the fact I like the poetic nature there that it ended pretty much like Angel did. Then in that regard, then not getting to close out when its predecessors did get the proper ending that they wanted. So it's probably not as bittersweet for me as it is some, but I hate to even say this because it's not the way I feel, but one of the first posts I saw when the finale finished the other night was somebody said, well, I could delete the CW from my lineup. I'm never going to watch that channel again. And I was like, don't disrespect. Yeah. True that I'm not a wrestling fan or anything else they've got going on right now, but I appreciate that. Like Craig was saying with like Mark and when he was in control, and obviously
Suzanne Gomez on publicity.
Suzanne, and we struggled with Dawn and how much she tried to strike down Smallville and strike down Supernatural too.
That one definitely didn't take.
No, that one did not take at all. I really think in an era where Marvel was thriving at the movies at this time, and it just felt like DC couldn't get off the ground hardly, which just boggles my mind. It feels like it's the easiest thing in the world to do is tell these character stories and show the respect that they deserve. It feels like it is a no-brainer to me. So to see Marvel thrive at the box office, and thankfully DC got to live on TV for a little while, and meant it a lot to a lot of people. I mean, the fandoms are strong out of these shows, and I'm never one to turn up a nose at a fandom. I mean, obviously, we're sitting here talking about this because we were in that same position 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
So it's neat to see things resonate with. I fully always realize when something's not intended for me, like that show is not made for me. Like that doesn't mean I dislike that show. It just wasn't made for me.
Right.
And that's kind of how the Arrowverse got toward the end of me. It was like, this isn't for me anymore at the age I'm at and the point I'm at in my life, but it means something to these people.
Yeah.
And I love that it means so much to so many, and have loved to see the respect that they've put on it here with Superman and Lois closing, and former cast members from the other shows giving their goodbyes, and the bittersweet moments and all that kind of stuff. It's I have an old man's old heart that's cold and mean and everything, but it's felt warmed a few times this week reading some of the stuff I've read. So
you have one of the biggest hearts that I know of, and so does Craig. Again, that's
I know, and it's a medical problem. There's going to be an issue if it gets any bigger.
I didn't.
We have Scanlane's heart.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's so dark, but no, I mean I can't think of a better
enlarged.
way.
It's a medical problem, Andy.
Yeah.
I just wanted to hop in and say one thing that I had tweeted the other night, though, is if people loved the Arrowverse, they loved Superman and Lois, now is a good time to revisit Smallville, because it'll give you 218 episodes to binge. And it's like almost prototypical for what we got later. And I mean, they were allowed to do more and more as the seasons went on, but I mean, it's also amazing because it was like 4 shows in one. You had
Yeah.
the early seasons, the middle seasons, the Metropolis years, things like
Yeah.
that. And I think that's wonderful. I do have a question for everybody before Andy wraps us.
Mhm.
Um, how long do you think it will be before there is another super related live action TV show? And have you thought to yourself how you would pitch it if you were in charge? Not I'm not asking for how you would do it, but just if you have thought about it.
I'm scared that we're not gonna have one for a very long time. That's the thing that I like. The
Yeah.
closest I can think of from the new DC universe is if they did like a Daily Planet newsroom spin-off. But that's like I know that's not really super, but like anything that's related to the Superman character, that's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Because I think we're gonna try and keep if Supergirl and Superman are already getting ready for the big screen, in the same slate. So for me, like I don't know if we're gonna get something like that in a very long time. Derek, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, in fact, I think we said this in our finale episode, Robin and Frank and I. It was like I want to soak up so much of this as it ends because this maybe and seeing how different in a different direction James Gunn seems to be going with things with the universe he's already dropping Superman into, this pre-existing kind of universe of heroes. This may be the last like traditional, I know it wasn't really a traditional Superman story, but traditional version of Superman that we might get for a while. And I don't know what Gunn is planning. I can't really speak to that, but obviously we've seen Guy Gardner and like all these other characters that are going to be in the movie. I
Yeah.
hope it's not a spoiler if anybody's trying to stay away from it that much, but all these different characters, and it's like this is going to be a very, very different take
Yeah.
than what we're used to. If I were pitching,
Yeah.
it would be the show I've already pitched that I would love to see happen. It would be a Lois Lane show. It wouldn't be a Superman show. It would be a Lois Lane show, because I think what better way to do something in that universe, but not have to come up with a new version for TV is to base it completely around her.
Great HBO drama, like following her, like being
Kind of like Penguin was, but Lois.
But Lois.
but less murderous, and
Yeah,
I don't know. Kristen Milioti wants to show up and be murderous. I'd accept it.
I'd let her.
I will let her step on me.
Andy, don't
all
make
right.
it.
That's a good note to goodbye, everybody. That's a lovely way to end. Right.
No, but I'm listen. She's one of my queens. Like I loved what Sophia did. So
yeah.
But gentlemen, I can't thank you both enough for joining me about this. And you getting to grow up with you guys, and having the connection that I have with, Derek, we talked a couple of years ago, and I'm glad we actually got to reconnect again. I'm like, it was kind of like, because I was texting one of my friends. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm gonna be talking to Derek Russell tonight. He's like the shoe, Derek Russell. I'm like, yes, no, it happened, and and I told him,
Derek knows how I felt at the Smallville con.
That's always just so bizarre to me. Like I don't know if it's just, I don't know. I feel the same way. I don't ever get that way when I talk to celebrities or anything. Like not that I'm calling myself one, because that's not true at all. I'm just saying I've never understood that whatsoever. So it's so far fetched when you say something. It's so far fetched when you say something like that to me. Same way. I mean, Tim, our social media guy, says the exact same thing because he grew up listening, and he's like, it's so weird. It's still so weird to talk to you. It's like my little brother now, and he's like, it's still so weird to talk to you. I'm like, y'all are, that's dumb.
The thing that I think is incredible is that we're still like friends and talking for like 20 years now, Derek.
Oh yeah.
And that like again,
20, or
this was
whenever
the year
I die.
Yeah, this is the year that we
don't say that, Derek. You're gonna be here for a long time.
I don't know if you watched the finale, but we're all gonna die.
I know, but like we're not gonna it's not like we're gonna have like Doomsday taking our heart and then we have to get a new plan into us. Like it's like no, like.
Well, I got my heart fixed last year, so I'm good.
He did. He's good to go. He lived for another 32 years.
Yeah, exactly. And then it expires, and then it's
But to my viewers, I cannot stress enough. Like, if you haven't done so already, check out, for the KryptonSite and KT. These graphics are. I'm sorry, I try to do my best. I want to make something special, but yeah, go
Look
follow
at you.
KryptonSite and KSiteTV.com and all their the handles. He has a YouTube channel at KSite TV. I will link it in the description below. Again, Smallville, D's TV, the world of entertainment of television and film. Craig is one of the best outlets that I still follow to this day. And of course, if you want to follow what Derek does, check out Starkville's House of L and Superman TV Talk. Derek, I am sorry I
Look
didn't
at
ask for
you.
permission if I could use the logo before. But I hope it's
I-
okay.
Of course.
Yeah,
that is
check,
one
Yes.
great logo.
Look at
check it.
you. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
my friend Rob was making fun of me. He's like, "You look like," he's like, "That looks like an eighth grader. You try to do that." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I
No,
try."
it's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. Rob, Rob. There's your mention. There's your mention,
Yeah,
Rob.
we need to give Rob a shout out because
Yeah, that's my best
Rob
friend,
is
Rob.
Andy's best friend who's way cooler than he is.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But check out Starkville House of L and Superman TV Talk at smallpodcast.com and Superman TV Talk and wherever you can get all your podcasts at, like Apple Podcast or Spotify. I almost said Stitcher, but I'm like, nope, that's also been sold. And of course, check out at Choose Smallville on Twitter or X, whatever. I want to say Twitter. Why are we stuck with X? But check out both of these gentlemen's work. I mean, again, so much of what I am today is mainly really much because of these two, because like I never thought I could be a podcaster. I never thought I could be a reporter, but like these are two people that I look up to. The fact that I've now met both of them, that I've hung out with them, that I know them, I'm shook up. I'm shook up. And like again, this is like 2024. So many dreams came true. I met Tom Welling, I met Derek Russell. I got to talk to Craig and Derek Russell at the same time about Smallville and
I was gonna
Superman.
say,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, but Craig, we talk, Craig, you and I, we talk every day. But again, when I first met Craig for the first time, I was geeking out and I was like, will you sign my companion books? Will you draw
Andy
something
was
for
kind of
me?
scary back then.
I
Mm.
was. I still
Yeah,
am.
but
Um,
where is this like book with my drawings?
Yeah,
I
we
will
have to
find,
see
I'm going
that.
to take them
Yeah.
out of the shelf. Again, I will take them out of the shelf and I
You
will
have to go to your
look it up.
parents' house to the
I'll
garage.
get them out of
don't you?
storage. Don't worry. I'll
They're not, no,
find
no,
them.
no, I
They're
would
behind the
never
deep
put them in storage.
freeze.
I would never put them into storage. But for people watching, if you enjoy this, like and subscribe, of course, and check out these two gentlemen. Cannot
Andy,
recommend them
thank you
enough.
for having us. That was really
Of
nice of
course.
you
Yeah.
to ask to do
Thank you
this.
for having us,
That's
and
cool.
also,
No,
yeah,
again, I thought it was too good to be true. I'm like, wait, they're
Yeah.
both free, and they want to do that. They want to hang out with me. I'm like, that's just, that's crazy.
No, I'm not free. I've done 30 things while sitting here. But
You're
I'm
you're
just kidding.
amazing for it.
just one other thing I want to point out, just for everybody watching, and I think you already have a graphic, Andy, is please come to Salute to Smallville
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
September, I think like 13th, 14th, something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I
Yep,
should have
that
added
sounds
dates
right.
on the picture. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I actually have a version of the picture I probably should have sent you with that. But, Tom, Erica, Kristen, and Michael already signed. Elena Huffman's going. And since I've been at Creation, I've been bugging them like, you need to get this person or that person. So hopefully somebody will listen.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Craig
but
has-
I
Craig has
redid
done
the website. So it
Yeah,
looks
Craig
like
has done amazing work,
That
and
is
I
slick.
can't say enough good things about Creation. They are a
Yeah.
fantastic company. They've got a fantastic group of people working for them. They really like giving a great experiences to their fans, or fans of these properties that they're doing, they're handling, and I think they have done a phenomenal job. I had no idea, and I hate to say until the convention was over, how long they've been doing this. Been doing this since
Yeah.
the 70s.
Yeah.
Since 71.
which is incredible, and to see what they've grown this business into, and the experiences they're able to give people as a result. Just really enjoyed getting to know these people over the last few months, and looking forward to year 2 with Craig.
And I'm back. So as you can tell, that was very much me in the past because my head was an explosion of hair. But I was honored, so honored to talk to Craig and Derek about Superman Lois, Smallville, and just the DC TV era as a whole. Thank you both so much for joining me for this, what I thought was one of the best discussions I've ever had in 2024. And hopefully we gotta do this again very, very soon. There's so much more Superman stuff to talk about. And so please, if you guys are watching this, let's make it happen. But guys, if you want to go check them out, there's links to all of their social media and their websites where you can follow, subscribe, and support them throughout their Superman coverage and so much more. They are two of the best people that I know, that I had the pleasure of getting to know online. And you know, if you know, especially if like I said at the beginning of the video, if you watch Smallville and you follow KryptonSite and Shu, you know how amazing they are. So if you aren't already following them, you should. And but with that said, that's it for the video. And you can find all of my social media stuff in the video description below. I am now back to streaming on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. And I'm also thrilled to reveal that my channel is finally back to being monetized as being part of the YouTube partner program. That literally happened on my stream, New Year's Eve stream. As I was live, I got notified that I'd been approved, and I'm so thankful for everyone who's supported the channel over all these years when I've been so inconsistent, but also the fact that people who have come in through my videos in 2024. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Again, I am not used to video editing. I'm not used to doing regular YouTube videos, so this is a very much of a thing of me stepping outside my comfort zone. But I'm excited for what the year has to come. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos here on YouTube now because I'm getting more comfortable with it, and also I feel I have more things to say now, especially when it's about TV or film, what have you. So with upcoming releases and interviews that I do, there's a lot to look forward to, and that's all I will say. But yeah, all the links in the video descriptions below. And if you like this video, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I go live with new videos or when I go live with streams when I'm playing video games. There's Marvel Rivals is finally out, and it is my favorite new game, literally. So and if you have any, what are your thoughts on the Superman Lois series finale, and what were your thoughts on Smallville? What were your thoughts on this entire incredible era of the Arrowverse and DC on the CW? Let me know in the comments below. Let's discuss. Let's have a conversation. Would really appreciate it. But yeah, of course, you can check out all my work at Screen Rant, where I have lots of news and interviews coverage all the time. Also, check out my entire work at multiverseofcolor.com, featuring all of my amazing team members who are busting their asses off week after week after week, giving you unique perspectives on television, film, comics, you name it. And this year, the Showrunner Whisperer will be back with brand new episodes, and new episodes are going to get recorded also very, very soon. But I also have a couple in the can that I will finally be getting out, so look forward to that. But yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.